Let's see here. Oh, wait a second. Actually, I'm looking at the packet right now. It just has the staffing reports, and I don't actually see the minutes. Oops. Okay. So for some reason, they're not in there. They were completed, and they're on the city's website. But I'm not sure why they weren't actually included in the packet. This is odd. Didn't even notice. What I can do is send out the minutes to the commission, and we can, I guess, approve them at the next meeting, but my apologies that they're not part of the packet.
And we can approve it if it's not included in the packet. Is that right, Sarah?
Well, it should be on the website, so let me.
I saw it on the website.
So it's included in the packet on the website. It's just the link when I had sent it to you at the time, it must not have had it in there for some reason. Let me just go to the website and see if it's out there. And then you could approve it as long as it's in the packet out there. I can share it on my screen here for you to see too, or I can send it to you for the next meeting, whichever you prefer. Let's see. Nope, it's not in the packet for some reason. So I think the best thing for me to do is to have this as an agenda item for the next commission meeting, and then we can approve it there.
All right. Do we need to make a motion to amend that and hold that to the next meeting then?
You got it, yep.
All right. So I'll make a motion that we amend number 2 and we hold off on approval of minutes until the next meeting next year. When is that? January 18th.
Second the motion.
Do you see them
We got a
online?
sec-
I don't see
Tom.
them online.
All right. We've got a second to amend number 2 and move it to the January 18th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
All right, then that passes and we will move agenda item number 2 and we'll review those minutes in our next meeting. I thought I saw it online.
It's not in the packet, but I think if you go to the last meeting and search that way, then you can see it attached. But for some reason, it's not actually included in the packet.
All right. Well, we'll get that right and we'll make sure that we don't have any questions or any discrepancies with that for the next meeting. So not a problem. All right, let's move into number 3. Let's move toward number 3, a public appearance for non-agenda items. Not there, so is anybody there?
Nope.
All right, so we'll move right along to number 4, the report from the police department. Chief?
Yes, hello, everyone. Just want to give an update on the staffing report for a total authorized positions of 54 for this month. We currently have 9 vacancies. 1 person on field training. That officer graduated from the academy a little over a week ago, so he's got some time in field training to go yet. That leaves us with a total of 10 unfilled positions. We do have 1 detective that's on limited duty from an incident about 2 weeks ago. It's going to take him a little bit to come back. He tore his a muscle around his shoulder area. Some of the significant highlights on the patrol piece, we do have 3 lateral hires. Unfortunately, out of the 3 that are to start next week on the 27th, 1 called yesterday to back out. So that gives us 2 laterals that will be starting next week and bring our vacancies down to 7. Went on over to the monthly ordering report. It's very similar to that of 2021. November was very similar. The vacancies did not occur till the end of the month, so they didn't impact November. They're impacting December, and we'll probably see that report next month to really see the differences in order-ins. But they're very similar. If you don't see your report, we had 30 order-ins this year versus 37 last year. The hours of the length of time are about the same, 2.6 versus 2.7. And the unfilled positions were roughly around the same, 6 to 5.2. What I do want to show and what I will be bringing up in the future months are the amount of overtime that we're going to be having to fill for the unfilled positions. A taste of that, and as I stated, November is not really the month to look at, seeing that the vacancies didn't impact us till the end of the month. At the bottom of your page there, we had a total number of extension of shifts calls. So that were 73, and those are as a result of late calls coming in at the end of the day or the end of the workday, or for reports that need to be completed for the district attorney's office. We also had for total number of shift coverage to fill the minimum staffing. Those were 39 incidents those were due to vacancies. And the other number of total required overtime hours were a total of 84 hours. Total length of time was 2 hours to fill in for others coming in into the next shift. I do want to record that what I would also like to bring up is the number of hours that the officers will be working to fill in the vacancies. We discuss work-life balance, and I want to balance that out. We do want officers to volunteer for overtime. Some of those are mandatory, you don't have a choice. But at the same time, we want to balance that out so that we're not burning out our officers during this time. I do believe we're going to get over this. We're going to spend the greater part of the first 6 months of the year to really work on filling those positions. The important piece is going to be the lateral transfer. And the purpose of the lateral transfer would be those officers don't have to go to a training academy. Bringing in a new hire, although we have a greater chance at molding them our way when they come in young, they have to start the academy. That whole process from the academy to field training can take up to a year and a half. So we do have a little bit of an uphill battle in filling those vacancies, but I'm confident with the staff that we have, if we play as a team, work as a team, that we'll get through this and see a better department a year and a half, 2 years from now. And that's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions for the chief?
Chief, I see 5 officers resign this month. Remind me if we knew about those. Were those 5 new resignations?
Yes, I had been, they notified us late based on their background stages that they were in, and they received late notifications from those other departments. But you had one go to the FBI, and that was a natural progression. He had been notifying us over a year in that process. We had one go to Wauwatosa Police Department, and we had 4 or 3 go to the Dane County Sheriff's Office. That was 3, yes.
All right, well, thank you. That was my question as well, so thank you. Just to recap of, kind of keep an eye on where we're losing officers too, so. All right, so if no other questions, we can move on to agenda item number 5, the report from the fire department.
I am getting there right now. It was up, and now it's not.
I can share my
apologize.
screen if you
Have a
like.
good night.
Yeah, I've got it saved up there.
All right, so we can take a look at the activity that we've had over the past month. One point of note is the fact that you can see that November we had a considerable spike. One of the reasons for that is we took on a portion of the town of Madison, and we've seen a spike of over 100 calls in that area. So it's something that we'll continue to monitor. It may be an anomaly, but it's I think it's more than coincidental that we took on an area and have an increased call volume. Like I said, something we are definitely keeping an eye on. But the other thing that we'll pick up over the next year or so will be inspections. That didn't necessarily have significant impact because the city of Madison completed the inspections for the town throughout the end of the year. We may have some re-inspections that we have to address, but most of that is taken care of already. As far as the staffing report, we'll get into some of the personnel notes in closed session. We still have a number of leave of absences. We have one that we're going to be recommending for discharge based on the fact that he hasn't had correspondence with us. And then we're going to recommend one of our firefighters to move on beyond probation, successfully completing his 18-month period. With that, our numbers are similar. We are going to be requesting a paid on call, paid on premises, an intern, and a deputy chief process moving into the beginning of the year. And then our continuance of the career firefighter position, the fact that that application period has been closed, and we're going to be reviewing those applications and moving on to the next steps, which will involve the interview and the background and so forth. But the numbers are consistent. We're still seeing the same issues that we are with our paid on call, paid on premises. A couple of things that we are working on is the active recruitment that we are attempting to do through the technical college system, where we are going to be able to maybe address those that have already been through the certification process, maybe through their associate process. The unfortunate thing is not having our own academy. We can't certify our own firefighters, so we are reliant on the Madison technical college system in general, the state of Wisconsin VOTEC system. We have a tendency of receiving a good number of our applicants through the Madison Area Technical College. So the other point of interest here is the fact that with the promotion of Lieutenant Dave Zalke, that created that vacancy on the career side, and we do have mandates and overtime that we've experienced over the past month, and we're anticipating that through the month of December. We just recently also had an intern experience an injury, so we're waiting to see how that impacts the fire department with staffing as well. Is there any questions in regards to the staffing report?
Chief, how many applicants did you get for a firefighter?
36.
36? Thank you.
Now, I'll say this. One of the benefits and one of the reasons why I embrace our paid on call, paid on premises system is even with 36, it may not sound like a lot, but we have internal candidates that we have a high degree of confidence in. It doesn't necessarily identify the fact that that spot is guaranteed for internal applicants. The good news, however, is those that are applying are good firefighters, and we anticipate that we will be able to fill those positions without issue.
How many were internal applicants?
I don't have those immediate numbers offhand because we haven't done the review of the applications yet.
All right. Keep us posted.
Will do.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions about the staffing report? All right. Thank you, Chief. Let's move on to Agenda 5B, authorization to begin a recruitment process for Division Chief of Prevention and Inspection Fire Science resident interns and paid on premises firefighters.
And
Go ahead, Chief.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said go ahead.
So yeah, I think you have to finish your
We need a motion.
yeah, the motion and second.
Motion to approve the staffing report. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the staffing report for the fire department.
I'll second.
Oh, I don't think it was a staffing report. It's just a motion to approve, it's letter B, to begin a recruitment process, and then he can give his summary and then, right? That's what we're waiting for?
Yes, I can't discuss it until after you've accepted the motion.
All right, so 5B. So I'll make a motion that we begin a recruitment process for division chief. Well, we got to talk about that, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of lost.
Right.
We wouldn't approve it before we hear you talk about it.
Right, yeah.
Am I missing something?
Yeah, you don't approve it, you make the motion, and you second the motion, you have discussion, and then you approve after that.
All right, so let's make a motion that we discuss, I'll make a motion that we discuss the authorization to begin a recruitment process for Division Chief of Prevention and Inspection, Fire Science Resident Intern, and Paid On-Premise Firefighter.
Second.
All in favor of a discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
So I believe, if I may amend recommend an amending of your motion, you're still making a motion for all of these positions. You second it, we have the discussion, and then if you agree with what we say during the discussion, you can approve continuing that process. Yep.
Chief, what I think, I don't think anyone's made any motion to approve anything. I think it's just, we want to hear from you about these positions. You mentioned them briefly in the staff report. Is there anything else about these division chief and fire and science president and paid on call?
So the process is following the SOG that we followed. The Division Chief of Prevention and Inspection has been approved by the council in next year's budget. So that's why we're moving forward with it during today's meeting so that we can start that process as soon as January. We don't have any money to start that position any earlier than January. It's part of next year's budget. So we would follow along with the SOG in regards to career staff in that situation. We are also looking at bringing on three fire service interns. That's typically something that we do every year, and we start that process early so we can hopefully recruit early and get our selection of those candidates that have made themselves available to the intern system. And then the other one was the paid on call, paid on premises, and that once again is we try to run those processes concurrently so that we can take advantage of training hours and so forth all at the same time. And it gives us an ability to reach out as some of our technical schools are graduating people out of their certification programs. But we would follow the SOG that had been presented in the past using similar timelines based on what you see in that policy.
Chief, for this division chief of prevention inspection, that's a new position that was just created, right? That was just approved? You've never had that?
We have had it in the past. It was an unfunded position that we kept within our organizational chart, but it wasn't funded. So the council had to approve the position before it was made available to us again.
And this will be a full-time position?
Yes, full-time career position.
All right.
So I'll make a motion that we authorize the beginning of a recruitment process as the chief has presented for the three positions. Division Chief of Prevention and Inspection, Fire Service, Fire Science Resident Interns, ×3, and paid on-premise firefighter.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, so we will move forward with the recruitment process for those three positions. Sarah, do we need to separate those into three?
No, you don't need it, you can, as long as you set all three, then we're just fine. And then when we get to announcements, I'm going to bring up Robert's rules just to try to clarify what Joe was talking about at the beginning, because I think we often just we seem to be going into closed session, or we're talking about staffing reports, but to actually talk about new business, we are supposed to make a motion, and then there's the discussion, and then there's the motion to approve whatever the agenda item is. So happy to share that later on in the meeting. But yeah, no, we're all good with
We
B.
came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
It just was an additional step.
Yep.
All right. Okay, any questions or anything on 5B? We'll move past that and we will go into 5C. Would anybody like to take us into closed session?
Pursuant to Section 19.851C Wisconsin statute, the commission will move into closed session for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically, to make hiring recommendations for fire science resident intern second year, recommendation for successful completion of the probationary period for a paid on-premise firefighter, and to notice the commission of a resignation of a paid on-premise firefighter.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we'll go into closed session. All right, welcome back to open session. We do have a couple items that need attention. Do I have any motions on the floor?
I will move to approve the chief's recommendation to make an offer of employment for fire science resident intern second year.
All
I'll
right,
second.
all right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, so that moves forward.
And just for your insight and clarification, we're looking at bringing him on as soon as Monday.
Right.
That's the beginning of the next pay cycle.
Great.
All right, thank you. And do I have another motion on the floor?
I would like to move to approve the chief's recommendation for the paid on-premise firefighter to be moved off of probation.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right. So we have another paid on-premise firefighter and a new intern. Thank you, chief. And any other questions or discussions for the chief? All right, then we're gonna move to item number 6, ongoing business. This is something that we hope to bring attention to, is just making sure that we're abiding by and we're reviewing, the Police and Fire Commission rules and regulations. And we had a short agenda today, and so we thought we would review this. Has everybody had a chance to review, kind of look through these? I think it's good for all of us just to stay current and make sure, if there's ever any changes that we want to administer, or propose. And Tom, if you have anything to add to this, I know this was your recommendation to do this, and I greatly, back it and support it.
Yeah, I think it was probably 3 years ago or maybe just 2 years ago, when the Police and Fire Commission reviewed these rules and regulations. They follow the statutes, but just give a little more guidance for the process of the formal side of what we do as a commission. And before we had reviewed that, it was last done in 2018. So I think it's good just to refresh our recollection and our review of these regulations and policies, And, maybe even just today, we could start with purpose, mission, and scope. And then, as we proceed over the next calendar year, maybe we just take essentially one section at a time when we have time in the meetings, and just review them and share thoughts. Sarah, over the course of your time with Fitchburg, you've certainly probably noticed areas where we can make changes or improve, and we can continue to do that on an ongoing basis, I think. So maybe we just start with mission, purpose, and scope. And Sarah, I don't know if you've got any thoughts, or maybe just want to lead us off on those.
Yeah, absolutely. We updated these 2 years ago, so these are, you can change these up. So the purpose, mission, and scope has that flexibility. So if you read through this and you're like, I don't necessarily see, or there's something missing on the mission, you have that ability to make those updates. So, we had our ordinances and statutes that the Police and Fire Commission, a lot of these rules and regs are mirroring, but when it comes to purpose, that was a new part of the rules and regulations that they added 2 years ago, because I don't think at that time they even had a mission or a purpose. So it helped to help guide the PFC on what they're supposed to be doing. So I shared it up here. It was part of the packet as well. So I don't know if you want to just kind of read through the purpose and check out the mission, and then if you have any thoughts or ideas on edits, we can always update those.
Sarah, can you give me a Cliff Notes version of what optional powers as described in
Absolutely.
Wisconsin statute means?
So like City of Madison has optional powers, so their Police and Fire Commission has more authority over the day-to-day police and fire responsibilities. So, you basically give the chiefs that authority to make those decisions within their operations. There are certain things you have purview over, hiring processes, disciplinary action. But optional powers is just something that the City of Fitchburg Police and Fire Commission doesn't have as part of your authority.
I read through this, and I think this is a great summary, and just an easy review packet, just to kind of keep us in our space and our place as commissioners. And if this is something we want, now that this is in our packet, if it's something we want to review, and maybe if anybody has any questions or changes that they would want to consider, maybe we touch base on that the next meeting when we approve the minutes. If anybody, would that be tolerable, or would that be allowed?
Yeah, so Sheena, are you asking, so maybe like everyone looks at the next section, administration meetings, and then if they have ideas for updates?
Or do we
then we'll-
want to, or do we want to go through each paragraph or each section?
And that's how we did it in 2020, actually. So everybody we took a different section every single time, every meeting, so then we could all review it ahead of time and then come to the next Police and Fire Commission meeting to discuss any edits or changes. So that would be one approach.
I like that idea. Then we can, we can dig into certain things again, so we can educate ourselves. I went through this and I reviewed this. Everything looked good. I don't have any immediate questions or changes. Does anyone else have any?
Not me.
Yeah, Sheena, I too read over it before the meeting, thinking we were gonna, I wasn't quite sure how in-depth we were gonna dive in, and I thought it looked really straightforward, too, but more in-depth actually than I expected.
So, Sarah, could you take a moment, just for my understanding? So we have this document. There's references to the state statutes. So is this a document, should we treat this document as one that governs this commission.
Exactly. Yep. So you still have those statutes that you should be aware of, but this document was put together to help guide the Police and Fire Commission on what they're supposed to be doing and who is in charge of what and what authority do you have over different things like hiring processes and how we fill chief positions. So this is something that we've always had as a rules and regulations, but prior to 2020, it hadn't been updated for, 10 years. So it was extremely outdated, and there were some things that the commission back in 2020 had added to really make it a better document.
So with that being said, in terms of changes to this document, will the approach be very similar to, an organization, voting to change bylaws? Or like there's certain, requirements in terms of, individuals agreeing to make changes to this document? Does it require a minimum number of commissioners to agree to change any content in this document?
So we'll have you track changes to the document, and then we have our city attorney and our employment attorney look over the updates just to make sure that we're not agreeing to do something that is against our statutes. So, and typically at the end, then the commission will make a vote on the updated rules and regulations, and we have to have a positive approval vote on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, good questions.
So today we'll look at the purpose, the mission, and the scope, and then do we want to table section 1 for another time, or do we want to try and go through this all tonight? Does anybody have any opinion one way or the other?
I would say in the spirit of Christmas and the impending storm that we treat the first 3 sections as advertised and dispense with the rest at a later meeting.
I think that's a great idea. Good. All right, that sounds good. Then we will do that just because I know the weather is coming. So, all right, well then I will move on to number 7. Any announcements? I know, Sarah, you said you had one.
Yeah, I just wanted to show something to you really quick, because I was a little confused as well when it came to the actions back when Joe was talking. So I'm just going to get to that document, just one moment.
Or we're going to go back to 5B, the report from the fire department. So when we got to that.
Yep.
item.
So there was, sometimes when I'm in some of these meetings, a personnel committee meeting or common council meetings, they'll make a motion to discuss something, and then they go through, and then they'll make a motion to approve. Well, if you look at this document from the League of Municipalities on Robert's Rules, you can see number 1, it says motion. So typically, before you start talking about a new business or some type of new business, you introduce a motion. Then you can go on to have a discussion about whatever that business item is, and then to make a motion to pass that. Now, it says here that your group is free to modify these as long as things are fair and it allows participation. I know traditionally we haven't been doing that in the Police and Fire Commission meeting. That's why it was very surprising to both of you, because you're like, well, wait, why are we approving to discuss something? We haven't done that yet before. So these are they're Robert's Rules, we follow them for the most part, but it does say here that if you find something suitable, a different process, we don't necessarily have to always introduce an item and say, okay, I make a motion to talk about the item. If we want to just continue on like we always have been, where we just make a motion to approve it after we've had the discussion, we can do that. So I just wanted to share this document and just kind of put that out there, because I know there was some confusion. Does that make sense?
It seems redundant to me.
I think because something is on the agenda, that we don't need a motion to discuss it. But I do think after a chief or someone else or whomever the agenda item is talking on the agenda item, I think it's appropriate then for the commission, someone makes a motion, if any motions, someone seconds it, and then I think we have a discussion amongst the commissioners about whether to approve or not approve the motion. But I don't think an agenda item itself needs to be motioned or anything before we start talking about it.
And we don't do that as a matter of course for the staffing reports.
No, we
So
don't.
why would we
haven't
not
been.
follow the same move to discuss for the staffing reports.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's
Exactly.
not consistently
It's not
being done that
consistently
way
applied,
either.
exactly.
I'm with Tom. I think we make motions when we want to make decisions. If it's on the agenda, it's been noticed, and we can talk about it openly without Robert's rules getting in the way,
Yep.
my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree, and it would also seem that if we started, if those types of approvals are necessary, why not just simply adopt the agenda?
Yep.
Or vote to adopt the agenda, and then anything on the agenda, then is open for discussion. But I agree with both points that have been made, that I don't feel like we need to do that unless we need to simply adopt the agenda.
Sarah, would it be, if we had wrote, like, so 5B, maybe would it be discussion? Right, like, do we have to, I know authorization, do we change that verbiage to something where we are, where we know, if somebody comes in late, maybe wasn't at the last meeting, this looks like it's been on the table for a while, why wouldn't we have discussion about it? So do we make sure we kind of make note if we are gonna have it as a discussion item?
The minutes will reflect that after the fact, but, it's funny, I'm not sure, we could always change things up if we want to provide some clarity that people can have a discussion about an item before voting on it. But to be honest, we've had these authorizations to begin recruitments for years on the agenda like this, and it hasn't been a problem before. So I think it is completely up to the commission. If you wanted to add another piece in there to just emphasize that we're going to be discussing it before voting on it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's needed.
We have the, for the fire department, there are those guidelines, and one of them was in the packet that kind of outline a regular process for like the fire science interns. But I think we as a commission still need to vote to approve that authorization whenever we're ready to kind of start the process. So I think that might have been a little bit of the confusion in that specific example, because there is already a timeline and a process that is kind of recommended, but we as a commission still need to vote on it.
Right, yep, and the commission did vote on it. So, yep, and I think we followed exactly what we needed to do that.
Yeah, and as part of that policy that we present, that's not intended to circumvent the process. I know that was a question that came up when we authored that document. That gives you an idea of how we've done it in the past. If there's something that comes up from the commission that says that we should introduce anything else, that's a perfect opportunity for us to address it through the approval process. But it does give you some idea of what our timelines are going to be and what we've done in the past in order to actually go through the recruitment or hiring process. So that's the whole intent behind that policy, is standardization and predictability, so that when we're developing our timelines internally, we have an idea of what we're looking at from the time that we get approval to the time that we're actually going to be making recommendations.
So that wasn't my only announcement. I just wanted to provide some clarity because I was a little confused too, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other announcements?
I'll just make a note that I was at an event yesterday and a person fell and hit his or her head. And first responders were there, very professional, and it just reemphasized how thankful I think we all are as citizens and residents of the city of Fitchburg for the fire service and police service and all the people who make up the services. So thank you to everyone who does all the things that we need out there for public safety.
All right. Thank you. All right, if no other announcements, that was a fantastic one. I think a great way to send us all out to a holiday week. Everybody have safe travels. I'll make a motion that we adjourn and see you next year.
I'll second that.
All right, everybody. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right.
Opposed? All right, everybody. Happy holidays, safe travels.
Thanks, you too, Sheena.